Welcome back to LinkedIn Ads for Business. In this section of the course, I'm going to be talking to you about the different types of audiences and what you can think about structuring. For this part of the course, I am just going to showcase to you the different types of audiences so that you can start thinking about it. In a later section where we look at the structure of the campaign, I will show you in more detail where to find the information that I'm looking at right now and how you can start structuring that into your campaigns. But for now, what you want to start doing is mapping out the different audience segments that you plan on targeting. What information you want them to see will come slightly afterwards in terms of bringing together those assets and messaging and things. But for now, this is just to get you starting to think about the types of audiences that are going to be perfect for your business to get in front of on LinkedIn. So first and foremost, you can look at this regionally. So mine is defaulted to Ireland, but you can put in any country that you like. You can look at recent or permanent locations of people. So people who may have recently visited or permanently live in that location, or people who permanently live in that location. And there's an important distinguish there as well in some scenarios, especially if you're targeting in a recruitment scenario, you want to make sure potentially that it's a permanent location that you're looking at for someone rather than some place that they're just visiting potentially on holidays, for example. So make sure that you have the right region selected, and if you have decided whether it's going to be permanent or a recent or permanent location. You can also set the audience profile language. So if you are targeting people in a different region with a different language, make sure to select the relevant language here as well. Now, you can look at narrowing this audience further. So you may not just want to target by region. So there's lots of different options here. First and foremost is a list upload. This is a great asset if you want to start looking at a particular list of people that you already have, that you can upload this into the LinkedIn ecosystem. This is fantastic if you have a CRM system, for example. You can always create a lookalike audience based off any data you have as well. And a lookalike audience is essentially what it sounds like. It is taking that list or taking a subsection of an audience that you're looking at and is creating an audience of people most similar to that list. You can also retarget. This is based off people who've been to your website before. So you can say, I want to target anyone who's been to the website and maybe not taken X action. You can also look at some third-party options. So if you have a third-party company or option like that, you can look at that as well. And you can look at some other options in here as well in terms of if you have already created an audience. So plenty of options here for your own data. List uploads, looking at your website. This is all looking at what you already have potentially to create an audience. Now, there is a fantastic tool out there if you want to build a list called Phantom Buster. And that will allow you to scrape some profiles to get some additional information if you're looking for a list of publicly available emails, for example. So I'd highly recommend checking that out. If you have your own lists or your own targeting that you want to do, this is where it's going to come. If you don't want to use your own data and you're looking at some fresh top of funnel data, you can start looking at some of the audience attributes. So you can look at people who work for a specific company, for example, or follow a specific company or interested in a specific company. Demographics wise, you can look at age and gender. Education, you could look at their degrees, fields of study, member schools, their job experience, what have their titles been in the past, years of experience, skill sets, seniorities, functions, and also by their interests and traits, if they're members of groups, if they've got some interests, and if they have particular traits to look at. I'll give you an example of one of these here. You could look at general interests or product interests. There's a lot of different things that you can dig into here. So these are all the things that you need to start thinking about. Is it going to be a structure of information that you put in place that's very top of funnel, not data you already have, and you want to add that in here? Or is it an audience that you already have information on that you're after that you want to put adverts in front of? And in both scenarios, LinkedIn allows for that structure. The most important button here is the exclude option. So if you are retargeting, for example, you may not want to, you could target everyone who's been on your website, but you may want to exclude people who have already been leads or data you already have. So you might want to target everyone on your website and exclude a list upload of people who've already taken a specific action. So always remember that you can include and exclude. Excluding is so important because you don't want to irritate people with your ads, and you also don't want to be spending budget on people you've already gotten the information that you need from. There's also this button that is also auto-checked. And it's a little bit up to you whether you would like to use this or not. And if you hover over the little question mark here, it reaches people who are similar to your target audience based on attributes like job titles, companies, or skills. And essentially what this does is it broadens out your audience. If you feel like your audience is too narrow, and as you start selecting things, your target audience size will populate over here, then you can start thinking about maybe enabling that audience expansion. As a general rule of thumb, I typically try not to use it on the first batch. And if I need to expand that audience further based on the results I'm seeing, then I would consider it then. So that's how you get started thinking about your audiences. Think about what you want to include, think about what you want to exclude, start putting together pen and paper lists of different ways you want to target, different campaigns, different audience structures in there. Really think about your audience at this time and think about that for the next step of this process, which is going to be looking at your messaging and call to action, and the next section after that, which is structuring out your campaign.